They told me I had to pick one thing. No. Diamonds are multifaceted, and so are we. It's about time we let all the parts of us shine. How do we climb out of the box and fully embrace our own authenticity? I'm Carolee, and it's time for the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast, where clarity and creativity go hand in hand. Hey everyone, welcome to just another incredible episode of the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast. I have been listening back to this interview and I'm just astounded at how good they are. I'm so excited to share this with you. Today we're going to talk about finding clarity, especially if you are somebody who is in a corporate position who is trying to find your way out of it. Adrienne Jamail is so incredible, and she shows us her whole thought process of how she was able to step out of that and into freedom and into doing what she really loves. This is such an incredible conversation. I just know you're going to just soak it all up and love it so much. Adrienne is a messenger of light. As a high-performance coach, speaker, podcaster, and soon-to-be author, her mission is to awaken your body, mind, and soul connection so you can feel fully alive as the most authentic version of yourself. Coming from her own experience with corporate burnout, she knows how to help you achieve fulfillment and harmony in your career and life. I'm so excited for you to hear and listen to Adrienne. So we're going to talk about how you've been able to pursue your passions and quit, all of the corporate and do more of what lights you up, because that's really hard for so many people to do, to stop doing all of the supposed tos and lean into our passions and our heart. So let's hear your story and dive into how can we do more of that.
Yeah, happy to share. 4 years ago, I found myself completely depleted in my corporate career. So I had been working in public accounting. I'm actually an engineer by background, and I just was really living and working in the masculine energy of go, do, achieve, go, do, achieve. And I was really good at it, which I think is what made me keep going for so long, was getting all the accolades, getting all the promotions, getting all the big paychecks. And I found myself about 4 years ago bawling my eyes out on my closet floor, packing for a business trip. And that was a pivotal moment for me because as a mom in the largest professional services firm in the world, there are not many working moms who are going into this partner process, which is kind of like the epitome of the next promotion level. And a lot of young women were looking up to me. And as I was sitting on my closet floor, I remember saying to my husband when he walked in and said, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "Every young woman is looking up to me right now as I enter this partner process. And I am a mom who has young kids. I travel, you work a full-time job. A lot of the women who are moms as partners, they have stay-at-home husbands. There are a few that don't, but a lot of them have just different lifestyles." And I said, all these young women are looking up to me. Like, look at her. She has the house, the cars, the kids, the career, the accolades, and she's making it all work. I want to be her. And here I am bawling my eyes out on my closet floor and saying, this is not what life is about. There has to be more. And for me, that was a turning point to say, what is it that lights me up? Who have I become? How did I get here? How did I get so lost from myself? And so for me, that was the start of my journey 4 years ago to figuring out who I really am and what I'm passionate about. I hired a coach. I got all sorts of people, a therapist, breath work, energy workers, hypnotherapists, and just all the things. I have a whole team of people who've helped me kind of unlock myself and find that my joy was really in the people. And I now am a coach myself. I went all in on my business in December. And I found that when you chase the work, I apologize, just dropped something. When you chase the work that you love, everything changes. When you light your heart on fire every day, you bring yourself back to life. And that's what's been the key unlock for me.
That's amazing. I want to talk for a second about this getting ourselves buried, because that
Mm.
happens so much. That happens so frequently. And I don't think that just happens in corporate careers. It also happens in motherhood where we forget who we are and we forget our true essence and we forget like, what was it that we studied in college again? What was it that we like really loved to do? Who were we again when before we started giving everything to other people? How do we start to unbury who we are and uncover what we actually love?
Yeah, I just recorded a short podcast yesterday for Mother's Day. And it was that motherhood is really the window into your soul.
Mm,
And I believe that when we become mothers, we kind of have two choices. It truly awakens something within us, and we have the choice to either view this added layer of having children as a stressor and okay, we don't feel right. We've already maybe been depleted by the work that we do. And now we've got these human beings to care for and keep alive. And it's a lot of stress and discomfort. And when we really start to notice how we feel, when we feel discomfort, that is a cue from the inside to say, there's something to explore here. There's something to learn about
mm,
yourself. And so I truly have found that in the first few years of my kids' life, I actually thought when I had kids, it would change me in my work world as well. Oh, I'll slow down. It'll change me. But I just kept on the same path of go, do, achieve, go, do, achieve. And I didn't slow down, and I was a perfectionist. I like to say now I'm a recovered or continuing to recover perfectionist because I felt like when I added kids, now I need to be a perfect mom and a perfect employee. Well, what did that mean for Adrienne? That meant Adrienne is completely depleted every single day. And so when I say it's a window into your soul, you've now added this layer of these human beings that are looking up to you as the most beautiful being in their life. And how we treat ourselves and what we do for ourselves is the opportunity that kids give us. So there's a lot of things before having children I wouldn't do for myself. I didn't have self love. I had a lot of insecurities and I would talk really bad about my body, about different things. I didn't take time for rest. I go do achieve, go do achieve. I would work till 4 in the morning sometimes for my work. Well, my kids added a layer that the question I like to ask myself is would I do this? Would I want this for them? So, whether that's the job that you hate going to every day, if it's the marriage that you're frustrated and depleted in, if it's the friends you're hanging out with that make you feel like shit after, would I want that for them? And if the answer is no, then why for me? Why for me? So when I took the opportunity after getting fully depleted and being really miserable in my career, I took the opportunity to explore what I really was passionate about, found that it was the people. I hired a coach and all these therapists and people to kind of dig into myself. What do I really love? And start asking those questions, start journaling, start meditating. And as that came through, I always say that that phrase, ignorance is bliss, is sort of true. When you don't know, it's a little easier to
yeah.
not act.
Yeah.
Once you know, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
And stepping into my coaching as my full-time job and walking away from the big comforting paycheck and all the things that I had at the firm. When my daughter came to my office here for the first time, and my sign was on the door, and she said, um, I asked her, I said, how do you feel? What are you learning from this? And she said that I can do anything I want. I can be anything I want to be. And so that's where I think the kids truly are the window into your own soul, because if
Mm,
you ask of yourself what you want for them, you will start to take the steps to the better life, to the elevated version of yourself.
mm,
Um,
that. Well,
yeah.
and what comes to me is as I've also been doing some of this deep diving work of like uncovering who I am, it's really easy at first to start thinking of it as you leave behind the ignorance is bliss. It's easy to see
Mhm.
It's easy to initially start thinking of it as I'm going backwards. What's happening to me? Like ignorance was so much more blissful. I feel like I felt better before I started diving into who I was. And like what's happening to me? This feels like a step backwards, but actually, it is progress. It is so good for you. And as you continue in the process, you'll see just how good it is for you and how good it is for your kids to
Mm,
see you become who you really re-become who you really are, because you really always were that until you let other people decide for you who you were.
this is very true. Yeah. I I feel like that journey of uncovering is the thing that many people avoid because it is scary. You don't know what you're going to find when you start to unravel all the conditioning and all the
Yeah.
shoulds and all the expectations. There's a lot that as we moved through the kind of survival, the survival mode of just achieving all the things we were supposed to do, and we lost ourselves, we put this armor on. And when
Mm,
we start to take the armor off, I mean, I was very proud of the fact that I was someone who didn't cry
yeah.
until the point where I hit full burnout in my career and had other, challenges going on in marriage and home and raising kids. And I started crying practically every day. And as I've done this work, there are sessions where I would sit with my coach for 90 minutes and pretty much cry the whole time, or my therapist. And what we forget, and I think we weren't taught, is, that, you know, energy and motion is emotion. And when we
Yeah.
don't let it flow, we store it. And
Mm-hmm.
I started to have physical ailments in my body, and I started to feel completely depleted. And I knew there's something wrong. And so I think the avoiding of the figuring out is because we're a little scared of what we might find. And it does feel like step backwards. You're right. It feels like you're becoming a weaker version of yourself with all these tears and emotions and things, but you're becoming your truest, most authentic self.
Well, and you're
And
actually becoming stronger. Like,
yes.
we have this very misconstrued notion of what actual strength is. We've been taught for so long that if you're perfect, you just do what everyone else tells you to do. That's what our idea of perfect is that you are pleasing everybody else except for yourself. Because perfect isn't real. It is this
Mhm.
fake idea of you're just going to do what everybody else says. But the problem with that is that everybody else is a whole lot of different people with different opinions who never can seem to agree of what actually they want you to be, which never is what you actually want you to be. So
Exactly.
perfect isn't real. And so then this perfectionist ideal that you're trying to live up to is entirely fake, and it's entirely based on something, these whims of other people that are constantly changing. And this idea of strength is never showing emotion, we have to debunk it. And it's so painful, and it's so rooted in other people are uncomfortable with your emotion.
Hmm.
But when we can really embrace the idea that being vulnerable and showing your emotion, and even just to your own self, like just allowing your own emotion to exist in your own body and embracing it and loving all of those sides of yourself, that's actually where you're the strongest. How many of us have been called strong our whole lives because we've been shutting down our emotions and been this, Walking Dead sort of person who
Yeah.
just kept going without feeling anything for so long. And people called us strong and powerful when that was actually us at our weakest.
Yeah. This quote came up for me this morning when I was thinking about, I recorded something quick this morning, and I thought of this quote that when I was in that deep, dark place, it was, and I don't know who the quote is from. I've never been able to find the source, but it was, to stop doing the things that you love is to experience death while still breathing.
That's amazing.
And I thought, holy crap, I have been breathing. I've been walking around with this armor. I've been kind of like you said, the Walking Dead. I literally, I'm breathing. I'm alive, but do I feel aliveness inside my body? Do I feel energetic, passion, excited? No, I had turned off all of the things that I love to achieve, accolades and promotions and paychecks, but every part of me was dead. So how is that worth it? This whole life is to live and be alive. So to turn off what we love is to experience death while still breathing. And so it's like, how alive do you want to feel? You got to do what you love. You got to follow your passions. You got to figure out what it is that lights you up. And when you do that, you don't need the stuff. I heard this quote. I think it was Eric Thomas, and he said, when you look around the world, everybody's out doing branch work, and they're, trying to buy the next house, the next car, or get the next injection somewhere, or go on whatever the thing is. It's like all this branch stuff, and all we need to be doing is root work.
Mm.
And it's so profound when you think about all the answers are within. And we run around in this society of consumption and buy the next thing. This will make you happy. And it's like, no, no, no. Within you is all of the joy, all of the answers, all of the clarity. If you go there, it will be hard and you will have tears and it will be a bumpy journey, but you will come back to life. That is the living. It's going inward. And we are constantly running around looking for the next shiny object. I mean, I've even done this in my business. Like, oh, what's that coach doing? Who's that person? What are they putting out? What's their approach? No, the magic is within me. I'm the shiny object. You're the shiny object. It's turning off all that noise and going inward and just trusting self.
Mm.
And you will fully come alive and be your authentic self. And that is the whole point of this life, is to do that.
Oh my gosh, just like amen, mic drop, like all of that was just so it. Like that's so it. And I feel it so much in me and in my story because I like became a mom and was like, oh, there goes my dream of singing and being,
Mhm.
a songwriter and a musician. Like, shut it down. Like, time to put that fire out in my soul because now I've got 3 kids with special needs. That means I can't do any of the things that I've dreamed of and envisioned for my life. Okay, now I've got to figure out how to get rid of that dream. And I couldn't. Like I tried so hard for 10 years to get rid of that, and it felt like death while being alive. Like it was so painful. And then life happened and I was able to reignite like that dream never went away. So when I say reignite, like that's not really what happened because it was always there, but reignite the idea that it was still possible
Mhm.
for me. That
Yeah.
despite my circumstances and all the limits that I had really just put on myself, right? Because we do that to ourselves where we're like, oh, no, it's not possible. I give up. And then you look around and you're like, wait a minute, there's all these other people who've done it. There's all these other
Mhm.
people who've had really, really hard circumstances who've been able to live phenomenal dreams that like seemed impossible. Why am I telling myself it's impossible? Because I just decided one day, I don't know, you know?
Yeah. I think when we become moms, we suddenly feel like, okay, I don't have permission to make myself a priority anymore. And the question I always really love to ask moms or parents in general is, you know, I know you're willing to die for your children because we love them so much, but are you willing to live for
Mm,
them?
that's an amazing.
Because that's the point. They're looking up to us as role models. And if we give up self for them, we're teaching them that they need to give up themselves. And that might be part of why we have these ideas that once we become moms, okay, everyone's
Exactly.
important. Don't take the trip. Don't do that. That's kids are first. I even remember when I was hiring a coach when I was in this full state of depletion and I knew I needed to do something. And it's was a big ticket price. And I thought, well, who am I? This feels selfish. I should buy something for the house. I should do something for the family. We should go on a trip. But when we heal the mom, we heal the family. When we invest in the woman, we grow the world. Like we are the ones who deserve. We need to give ourselves permission to do what we're passionate about, to take that space, to invest in ourselves, to continue, like you said, doing the passion work. We don't have children and then we get rid of who we are. We should light up more. We're showing these little beings that they should continue to chase their dreams. And when my daughter said, I know I can do whatever I want to do, it's like, yes, that's the lesson. Don't feel like you have to go to the 9 to 5 job for 30 years because someone told you that's the best way to earn a living. Yeah, that might be the safe way. But are you
Alive
experiencing death
there,
while still breathing?
right?
Yeah, it's not worth it. And life is so short.
This is your one life to live. So like
Yes.
go live it. Like today is your actual life. So go live it.
Yes, exactly. I remember when I was in this phase and I was trying to decide, do I stay in this partner process at the firm? Do I pull myself out? And it was the same week that I was making these decisions. And my sister's best friend's older brother passed away, and he had had melanoma and he was in remission. He was doing fine, but he started to get headaches. He went to the doctor and they told him, you have 3 weeks to live. The cancer was everywhere. And he lived for only 3 weeks and he was 42. And at the time I was 38. And I thought, wow, if I had, because at work they kept telling me, if you just do the partner process, it takes a year, then you can find a new job here. You'll figure it out. You'll be okay. Just keep your head down. This is such a hard level to achieve, and you have support and you have what it takes. So just do it. Just keep your head down. And I was miserable. I hated what I was doing at the time. And I thought that him passing, I thought, what if I only have this year to live? What will I regret more if in 1 year from now, okay, I achieved the partner title and the paycheck, and I'm losing, I'm done. This life is over. Or I spent this year figuring out myself and who I want to be and what I want to do and chasing that. I knew in an instant. I remember where my husband was standing in the kitchen and he said to me, are you really willing to give up this dream you've been chasing for 14 years? It was 14 years at the time in my career. And it was like a switch flipped inside me. And it was, yeah, I'm willing to give up this goal because I'm going to choose me now.
Because
I'm
that
going
was
to choose, yeah,
really the dream. Because once you start to have that greater perspective, you're like, wait a minute, that's not just because I said it was my dream for so long doesn't mean it was actually my dream. Like I studied opera for like 20 years and then I reached this moment where I had auditioned for the School of Music again and my son had just been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and he was 7 and severely autistic and completely nonverbal and he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and he started talking like right after he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, he started like talking. Like within a month, he could say all his colors. And he was 7, and we'd been through so much therapy and not a single word. And then within a month of being diagnosed, he could say all his colors. And within a year, I was like begging him to shut up. And it was like so, like it was overwhelming how much he like was talking all the time. And so I had just like a month or two after he was diagnosed, I auditioned, and then a few months later, I auditioned again, and then I was so excited that this was my dream coming true, and then I didn't get in, and I'm watching him have more words and more words and more words, and I'm totally devastated that I didn't get into the School of Music, but I'm watching him progress, and I start having these realizations of like, wait, this thing I dreamed of for 20 years, it would it would mean I'd never be around my kids. It'd mean if I actually got it, I'd be gone at rehearsals all the time. I'd be gone at like if I was actually the star of the show, like if I got got this thing I've been dreaming of and I got to be the opera star and do all the things, like I'd be at rehearsals or performances like all the time. I'd be traveling for shows. Like wait a minute, I don't want to get rid of being a mom so I can be the like I want to be both. Like those are both huge parts of me. I want to be able to be all of me, which includes being a mom and this. And I had all these realizations of like, because I was studying costume and makeup design at the time, and I was doing all that backstage work for the people who were the stars of the show. And I was like, wait a minute, if I actually got this thing I've been dreaming of for 20 years, somebody else would be designing my costumes and makeup. Wait a minute. Somebody else would be telling me where to stand and what to sing and every single action to take. Like, I would hate that. This thing
Yeah.
I've been dreaming of my whole life. Wait, that's what I was dreaming? Like, oh, now that I actually think it through, this thing I blindly followed as the dream for so long, I'm starting to understand how maybe it wasn't the actual thing I wanted my whole life after all. Maybe this was like a blessing in disguise that I didn't get it. And so, like, just because we say something is our dream forever, it doesn't actually mean that it's the thing that's meant for us. And
That
sometimes it takes the break, the not getting it, the big event. Sometimes it takes that before we're willing to realize that the thing we thought we wanted for so long isn't really the thing that's meant for us.
Yeah, I sometimes say the universe needs to knock you upside the head before you realize. And I heard once the red doors that close in life are really just leading you to the yellow doors that are open and ready for you.
Yeah.
And I love that saying. I can't remember who talks about it, but
Kathy talks about it because it's from a book.
yeah, there's a
Uh,
book. It's a woman that works for Oprah, I think, that organized her show. I'm drawing a blank on her name, but
Jerry
all those.
Salata.
Yes, yes. All the red doors that close, they're just leading to the yellow doors that are open. And I actually, the firm I was at provided this woman who was helpful on just mental health side of what I had been going through. And I had a few sessions with her, and she said, it's really interesting. We set these goals for ourselves when we're in our early 20s. We start a career. You showed up at the firm at 23 years old, and you looked at what is the highest achieving thing I can do here? Become a partner. Okay, I'm going to set that goal because that's what I should do. You then never question it. But she made a point that, our brains aren't even fully formed
Yeah.
until they're 28, especially the part of us that is around the organizational aspect and make decision making part. So here we are in our early 20s. Our part of our brain that really makes those decisions well isn't fully formed. And we set this goal and we write it on a piece of paper and we tell everybody, I'm going to be a partner here. We don't even, we don't have the capability to really decide that that's the true goal, or does that really make sense for our life and our bigger vision of what we want in life?
Well, and then once you start saying it out loud, everyone around you starts holding you accountable for it. They're like, oh, you said you wanted this, so I'm going to start giving you gifts around it. I'm going to start talking to you about it. I'm going to start seeing you as that. And then you're like, oh, yeah, that is what I wanted, right? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's what I want.
Right. And then because I think our generation was never really taught to pause and reflect. I mean, as a kid, it wasn't like, how does this make you feel? You just
Right.
figure it out, toughen up, do it, achieve it, get it done. You don't quit anything. And
Faster,
so
faster, faster, faster.
yeah, that part of us that I would pride myself, like, I don't quit anything. Well, maybe there are some things you should quit in life. There's some things where when you really check in, it doesn't feel good to you. But when we aren't given that gift of pause to say, how do I feel? What is my body telling me? So many things I looked at. I mean, my body had to start having pain. I had to start having tears every day. I had to get put in a position at work to make partner in a group I wasn't passionate about it. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It had to get so miserable that I would finally pause, basically knock me out and say, do you not see this is not happening? This is not the right path. And then when I paused, all the clarity came in. But the funny part was when I look back in hindsight, there was lots of little moments. There was a time I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, working on a client, and I was traveling every week. I was actually pregnant with my daughter. I traveled all the way up until 36 weeks, which was insane. It was a giant
Wow.
pregnant person getting on the plane and, just keep work, work, work. But I remember leaving an event that was some kind of happy hour networking event. And I was so energized. I couldn't even make it back up to my hotel room. I stopped in the lobby. I got out a notebook and I remember very clearly writing people, people, people. I love people. I want to be in a job where my people are my focus. And I had this download and then I kind of shut the book and I was like, well, that's weird. I don't know. I'm not going to do anything with that. And I just moved on with my life. But when I look back, there were moments when I said, what makes me feel alive? When I'm coaching people at work, when I'm helping them with their careers, when I'm in a training or an event, when I get to stand on a stage, like all these moments were there. But I didn't say, wait a second, what if that was your whole mission instead of just a byproduct in a small way of part of your job? And I do this exercise with my clients where I really have them reflect on what lights them up, what they really love, and what really depletes them. And what I find is a lot of people are spending 70 or 80% of their time on stuff they don't love, but they're good at it. So they're getting rewarded, they're getting accolades, they're getting promoted. Like, oh, it doesn't bring me energy or life. I'm good at it. And then
Like the big leap.
only 10 or 20%, if or a lot less, is on the stuff they're really passionate about. And
Yeah.
so they're feeling depleted. And it's like, okay, let's just start with adding 10 minutes of your day to something you love. If you loved painting and you haven't painted in 10 years, paint for 10 minutes and you will
Right.
start to feel different.
You really
Just
will.
these small changes.
Are you
Yeah.
familiar with the big leap and like the zone of excellence and like living in that just a little bit more of your day at a time is so powerful. That book
Yeah.
is by Gay Hendricks is
I haven't read that one, but I'm going to add it to my
oh no, yeah, I need
list.
to add that one to your list because it's life changing because it's exactly what you're saying is
Mm.
like live your life in that zone of that you just sparkle in because so many of us are living in the zone of competence where it's like, yeah, you're good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone will pay you for it, but it's not the thing that really lights your soul on fire. It's the thing you're just kind of okay at that I mean, you're good at it, but it's not it for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
But
yeah, keep going.
I was going to say something, and maybe you sort of asked this in the beginning, the courage to step from the corporate career and the comfort of that into my business really came with that fire. And it just made me think of it because when I started to add in, I was doing coaching on the side. I got my coaching certification once I figured out what I really wanted to do, and just lighting people up was my mission. And when I started to do that on the side, it's like I'm doing this work on one side that lights my heart on fire. And I got myself in a position at the firm where I just was doing I got away from the stuff I really hated, but it was good. It was fine. It was okay. It paid really well, but it was just okay. And some days it would bring me down, and some days it would just be kind of even keel, but never really lit up. And so, what really pushed me over the edge to step fully into my business was how long can you have this work on one side that lights you on fire and not do it all the time?
Right.
It's like here I am doing the thing that the quote says, experiencing death while still breathing is to not do the thing you love all the time. And so you get to this point and it's a leap of faith and it's scary and you don't exactly know. But I do believe the universe rewards you when you go all in. The
Yeah.
synchronicities and things that started to happen when I said, I'm going to fully own this as my identity, as who I am, things started to open and unlock. And I just realized the whole point is you can't just keep it as a hobby. You have to make it your mission in life. And you need a lot less money when you do what you love. Like you
Mm.
truly, money is not your driver anymore. You need the money to fill the void of misery. It's when
Yeah.
you like, I need the stuff, I need that, I need the trip, I need the thing. Like I tell people, actually, I met with a partner I used to work with, and she was checking in on me. How are you doing? Are you working too much? And I said, it's funny. When you do work you don't love, you have to figure out how to turn yourself on. But when you do the passion work, you have to figure out how to turn yourself off because you don't work a day in your life when you love what you do. It's just like, oh,
Yes.
this is so amazing. I want to have another podcast and I want
Because it just flows all the time. Oh, yes.
you have so many ideas and downloads. Like, how do I do it all at one time? It's so amazing. How is this my everyday? And so you get to the place where um, you just have to take that leap of faith and believe that the universe will keep rewarding you when you keep doing that passion work, because that's actually your purpose. I see so many people like have this dream, it's sitting inside, and they're not willing to go for it. And I always say the reason you have that dream, that burning in your heart, is because someone right now is praying for you to bring it to life.
Yes.
And just
Well,
believe in that. You're,
yeah, and I was gonna say that like that spark, that thing you were made to do in this world, like it's genuinely helping people so
yes,
much more than that thing that does not light you up.
yes.
Like that reason, that passion, that thing, like people need it. They need it. And you like that is a gift that you were given, and people they really need it.
Hmm. Yeah. I say a lot that burnout is a choice. I thought when I was caught in my full burnout, it was like all the firm's fault, everybody else's fault. And then when I really found my light, I'm like, oh no, I chose that. I chose to not light myself up. I chose to not listen to the nudges inside of me. I chose to let them run my life, that
Mhm.
schedule run my life. I chose that. I let
Yeah.
that happen.
Taking radical personal responsibility is one of the most difficult things to do. But once you realize that you have so much more power and control in your life than you've ever allowed for, oh, it's everything. Like you're like, oh, actually, no, I get to choose how I feel, and I get to choose what I allow in, and I get to choose what I do. Like you are in charge of your life.
Hmm. That's true. We are always in charge. And when we get our power back, then we can start to change the world because
Yeah.
when you light yourself up, you can go light everyone else up. I feel like that's our duty, and
Oh,
what you and I do is to really keep lighting ourselves. And I like to think of like myself as I'm the lighthouse. You just come, we get lit up. In the darkness, you find
yeah.
the lighthouse. We are just the messengers
Ooh,
of light to
I love
really,
it.
pass that on to others and help them realize that they have that within them too. We get to choose, yeah, where we focus and how we spend our time. So
And
it's such
I
a gift.
love the lighthouse analogy, but I also love, especially in this particular conversation, the analogy of a candle does not lose anything by
Mhm.
lighting another candle. Like a lit up candle can light an infinite number of other candles. And that's what we're here for. When you are really on fire, when you're really lit up, that's your purpose is you get to go light all the other candles and help them be lit because then they get to go light up other candles. And as a mom, like when you're really living in that light, then you get to show your kids how to live from that light too. You get to light their candles.
Yes. Yeah. And give them permission to check in with self and know that they can chase any dream that they want and they don't have to do the shoulding, right? I
Yeah.
feel like I've had women's events and small women's groups, and we're doing so much unraveling of what we've received as conditioning and things that we think we're supposed to do, where we can really start to change the world is to go younger and start to help kids not take all that
Yeah.
shoulding on themselves
Yeah.
and realize that they are the light, they are the magic, they can trust their instincts and trust what their body's telling them and make different decisions for their life than what we thought we could do. We don't have to do so much undoing, and they can just go light up the world today and not have to
Yeah,
pick
absolutely.
that up, that burden that we carry.
Well,
So
and as moms, how much conditioning, like as moms, we are the role models. And so, like, we know how much conditioning we have just from our own mothers of like, I want to live up to her standards and her expectations and the things that she wanted me to be and that she told me I should be. And this is what makes a good woman. And so, if we can pass down to our kids, like, you know, not that, if we can pass down to our kids, like, no, do what your heart is saying to do. And like, I recognize that I have my own biases. Let me see if I can figure out how to step out of my own conditioning and biases and let you just live the right way for you as much as possible. Like, if we can start to recognize that and do our own growth journey, like it helps our kids so much.
It does. Yeah. We think as moms, we need to be at the bottom of the priority list. But if we put ourselves at the top and we chase those dreams and we fill our hearts and we light ourselves up, we start to change everyone around us. And
Yeah.
we have it kind of flipped upside down that, oh, you have to give of yourself. You have to be depleted. You have to do everything for everybody. And really it's the wrong formula that we were sort of taught. And
Yeah.
we are worthy. We are enough. We have permission to take care of ourselves, and making ourselves a priority is selfless, not selfish.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of moms struggle with that specific thing. It's like, well, when everyone else is taking care of, then I'll work on myself. Well, there's never going to be time. Put yourself first in the day, put yourself first in priority list, and everything else will be better for it.
Yeah, the ripple effect becomes like the more worthy that you start to understand you are, it it really ripples out to everyone around you and they start to understand their own worthiness because you are understanding your own.
Exactly.
It's just
Yeah,
so it's so powerful.
it
So
is.
tell us more about like what kind of coaching you do and what has lit you up and how that has helped you in your life and through the struggles of life to
Yeah.
light you up and bring you joy.
I always say what I'm coaching on is what I need myself. So you pretty much you're work in progress, and it's great to help your clients. Like, I needed that message today.
Yeah.
My coach, when he asks me when I'm struggling with something, well, what would you tell your client? It's so easy to tell other people what to do, and to tell ourselves is harder. And so I'm always a work in progress. My business is Elevate High Performance Coaching, which high performance feels like very masculine and going and doing and achieving. But I really, at the core, I see in my clients their light, and my mission is to make it brighter.
Mm.
And I believe we can achieve so much while maintaining our well being, while being energized, while being our best version of ourselves. So, my mission is to really help people who feel like they're in that place in life. And I have clients who reach this in their 20s and in their 60s, all different phases where, okay, I've achieved all the things. I've checked all these boxes of what I think would make me happy. I've got the family, I've got great kids, I've got a great house, I've got the great job, I have all these things, but something inside is whispering, there's more. This isn't what it is. And and everyone hits that phase at a different point, but you feel, my clients come to me when they feel stuck, depleted, lost, unsure of what to do next, but knowing there's something more for them. And so we go on a journey of discovery inward together, and we help that light shine brighter. And I have a whole host of toolkits that I use with my clients to really help them figure out what is going to bring that light back to them. And it doesn't mean you have to do what I do and leave your job and leave your career and make big shifts in life, but we've lost ourselves along the way. And so I feel like I help my clients come home to their most authentic version of themselves.
Ooh, I love that.
And the way that it lights me up is I see that light change over time. When they come to me, they're stressed, frustrated, like I said, depleted, exhausted. And it's like I watch them come back to life before my eyes. I have a client who, we're on session 10, and he's sending me motivational, messages, and I'm like, who is this person? The guy that came to me was like, I don't know who the heck I am and how I got here, but I need your help. And to see them shift so quickly, it's the lighting, it's the candle, it's I'm lighting them up, and it is the most rewarding work on the planet, because then they go light other people. The ripple effect we will never understand. When we unlock one person, they go unlock the generations that come after them. They unlock their friends, they unlock their parents, they unlock their colleagues at work. We will never know the impact we make. And that's what keeps me going when it's hard, when it's stressful. It's like you just keep showing up. And I always find, this is the universe confirming, keep going. When I'm struggling, when I'm unsure of myself, when I'm like, oh, I missed that big cushy paycheck and not having to figure out the next step, someone sends me a message, whether it's someone I don't know on social media who's following me or a client sends the most thoughtful, like, you helped me today by hearing that message or getting through this tough thing because of what you did. And that's why I keep going, because it's literally life-changing work. It lights me up. I can't stop doing it. So I'm going to do this till the day I die because I love it.
Oh, it's so amazing. I just love it so much. How can we find you and follow you?
Yeah. Adrienne.Jamail on Instagram. My website is elevatehighperformancecoaching.com. I know that's a mouthful.
And your podcast.
In my podcast, yeah, I haven't even talked about that, called Speak Her Truth. And that is a place I will say I don't show up as much as a coach there sometimes, but what I really found was that girl in the closet who was crying her eyes out was not speaking her truth. And I feel like women carry so much and we put a smile on our face. And my mission for my podcast is to have a space for sacred conversations that women can share their story, because one person's story is another person's survival guide.
Mm.
And I really want to bring the truth to light, that we appear on social media to have it all together and shit is hitting the fan behind the scenes. Like, we are struggling. We have rough patches in marriage, in life, with kids. It's not perfect. And I was this epitome of looked like perfect. I am far from perfect. So my podcast has some vulnerable just shares of my own. I'm starting to do more interviews. I'd love to interview people and just bring those stories of courageous, brave, amazing women to light, like you are, because we need it. We need to know we're not alone.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
This has
yeah.
been so incredible. This is exactly the conversation that I needed in this moment, and I'm just so grateful for you. Do you have any final words to leave us with?
My final words would just be to remember, and I'll use Brene Brown's quote, and I don't know the exact quote of it, the words, but it's that idea that if you don't belong to yourself,
Mhm.
you belong to no one.
Yeah.
And this whole mission in life, I think it's the book Bronnie Ware on the last regrets of the dying.
Yeah.
If you aren't authentically wholly you will get to the end of this life and wish you would have done so many things. So just keep going inward, keep reflecting, keep checking in with yourself, and speak your truth. Do what you know you need, ask for what you need, and give yourself permission to invest in yourself, because you deserve it. Especially women, especially moms. We don't think we are, but you are so worth it. And I want to give you permission to do that.
Mm. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you
Yeah.
so, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Multi-Passionate Mama podcast. I know that we can never be told too many times how amazing we are, so in case you haven't been told today, you are a freaking rock star. When you let yourself shine, you allow other people to take off their filters and shine brightly too. It's about time someone gave you permission to be all of you. If you enjoyed this show, please leave me a review and hit that subscribe button. I know you want more of this. Sharing is caring. Let someone you love know how incredible they are by texting them the link to this episode. They'll feel so good just knowing that you thought about them. And lastly, if you want to know more about my courses and coaching, be sure to check out my website for up-to-date details on everything I have available. It's caroleegarrison.com, and the link is in the show notes. Always remember that you are a diamond. Don't let anyone dim your sparkle.